Hello, everyone. This is Talks with Kenny, and here we'll be discussing Biden's low approval ratings. Biden's approval ratings hit new low in latest Monmouth poll. President Joe Biden's approval ratings fell further on Tuesday as Monmouth released its latest poll. Biden, whose approval ratings have dropped a whopping 18 points in the poll since January 2021, now has only 36% approval rating. The numbers mark a new low for the embattled president, who sat at a low of 38% in May. This is one of the telltale signs that Democrats are trending away from what the American people want, right? You're setting new lows in the same year. I mean, after a year after, how can you not look at that and say, hey, I'm doing something wrong here? Not necessarily wrong, but something going against what the American people want. If the Democrats were smart, they'll realize why the hell our approval ratings are so low. That should be indicators that if they have anyone smart on their side and that's actually looking out for them, they'll realize, hey, we need to reset our game plan. But all the Democrats seem to be focused on is pushing agenda, and not solutions that American people actually need right now in 2022. So let's continue on with the article. Breaking down by partisan affiliation, 74% of Democrats still approve of the president. How can you... I understand about this tribalism in politics right now, but even if I was a Democrat, a lot of the issues that Biden's not addressing is affecting me heavily. Unless 74% of Democrats are in a high income status, which I doubt, because Democrats have a large coalition of young voters. So I'm pretty sure they're feeling the pain of inflation, the economy, crime. Like none of these are in the Democrats' top priority right now. They're trying to do January 6th. They're focused on climate change, and yeah, a lot of young voters are particularly concerned with climate change. But the most immediate problem facing America right now is the inflation and the economy right now. Because right now, as of July, right now, I honestly believe we're already in a recession. It's just right now everyone else hasn't felt it yet, but we're already in a recession. The economy already shrunk by, I believe, 1.5%. I don't quite remember off the top of my head from last quarter. There's no way we're improving off of that because Biden, I've looked around, Biden hasn't really done anything legislative policy-wise to really address that outcome. But only 29% of independents and 3% of Republicans approve Joe Biden's job as president. The 29% of independent is very important, and I believe this is a precursor of what the midterm elections is going to show. Like a lot of independents will be like, hey, I don't care about Republican, I don't care about Democrat. Which one of you guys are going to fix this problem I'm dealing with right now? Honestly, that's what most independents are thinking right now. Biden's approval rating ticked up by 1% overall in the poll to 58% from 57% in May. Like he's trending upwards in disapproval rating. That means Biden hasn't really changed anything that the American people really feel is concerning and top of mind issues right now. Its polling data break down the issues most of the Americans' minds are. Top one is inflation. Nearly half of the public names either inflation or gas prices, 15%, as the biggest concern facing their families right now. The economy in general and paying everyday bills at 6% are among the other financial concerns mentioned. Abortion, which has registered less than 1% of this question in prior Monmouth's polls going back to 2015, is currently named by 5%, predominantly amongst Democrats. So them using this whole like Roe v. Wade, like I remember like back in last year when there was talks about Republicans repealing Roe v. Wade, a lot of Democrats on Twitter, a lot of people in mainstream media were praying, hey, you guys don't want to do that. If you overturn Roe, they act like some great upheaval will happen if Roe gets overturned. And based on this poll right now, Roe don't, like, abortion is not a top of mind issue for most Americans. And even then, in the Roe abortion issues, women overrepresents both sides of the argument, pro-life and pro-abortion. So essentially, they'll cancel each other out. And what's left? Between those two, what affects them the most? Inflation. And that's the commonality. And I think Democrats have a big uphill battle. And namely, only Democrats are among this. So that means people that's already on your side are the most concerned about. That means you haven't brought anyone new into, the Democrats haven't brought anyone new into their side. While Democrats has made clear their hopes, anger over the Supreme Court overturning Roe v. Wade will help bolster their dire midterm election prospects, the survey found that inflation and gas prices remain by far the key issue for most voters. And it was polled with 978 adults by phone. Yeah, reiterates the approval rating generic ballots from the last three presidents between Biden, Trump, and Obama, which they all did bad in their midterms, if I remember correctly. They all lost seats. So Biden, you're due to lose your seat and maybe even worse than they did. So I want to continue on this point that I want to make, that Democrats have the House, the Senate, and the presidency, and y'all guys can't get anything done, right? They keep crying about Joe Manchin, but they're not running on a moderate platform right now. They just want to ram in all the legislator they want. They want to run the country, in my opinion, to the ground with like overspending, which caused inflation in the first place. Like Biden got into this arm race with Trump because Trump passed I believe the CARES Act, and that was needed because, you know, the government shut down the economy and they wanted to stimulate the economy, right? So Biden comes in 2021 and he decides, oh, I can't let Trump have a stimulus package. I must pass one too. And his stimulus package, if you research anything that economists put out, they said his impact was worse than what Trump put out. Moved the economy while Biden's kind of overheated. That's the terminology they use, because the economy was already on its way back. It didn't need any more help. But Biden, you know, because he wants to push an agenda and not actually push solutions. Because what McConnell was trying to say was, hey, we don't need to do any more spending. There's already enough. Like, we just need to get America back to work, reopen states, and economy is good to go. Biden and the Democrats was like, no, we don't want to hear that. We want to give you stimulus check. And they kind of bribed the American people to vote for them. But I digress, right? Like, short-term pleasure for long-term pain. And now we're feeling it now at an 8.6 inflation rate. Poll shows that 77% of Americans now say the country is off on the wrong track, up from 68% last week. This is the largest share who have provided this response since the start of Biden's presidency. As you can see, this is the most popular president in U.S. history. And 77% of Americans don't like where he's taking the country, don't like what he's doing for the country. If this doesn't show you that just because something is popular doesn't make it right, this is mob rule. Like, just because the majority is entitled to vote for whoever they want, but I believe this is a wake-up call, I believe, for most Americans, that don't vote just on emotion. You have to have some long-term, like, you have to take in consideration long-term consequences for your choices. And I guess we were learning the hard way. We were learning this the hard way, honestly. January 6th was the least important issues to voters. If you had common sense, you would know that January 6th is nothing but a distraction from problems that to show that, hey, Democrats have all 3 seats of power in the government, yet they still can't do anything. Yet the country's still worse off. So to distract from that, they want to throw January 6th at us. No matter how you feel about Trump, I don't really care at this point, because Trump's not president. Trump already got held accountable for his January 6th crimes or whatever. He already got held accountable. He's not president. Biden's president now. So the fact that we're still focusing on Trump, we're like, yo, he's gone already. What you doing right now, Biden? Biden was talking about earlier in his campaign how he's going to be a leader that is accountable. He won't look to pointing fingers but that's all he's been doing this presidency. Putin. But gas prices was rising way before Putin even started the war. Gas prices rose when you closed the Keystone Pipeline on your first 100 days in office. But it's Putin's fault, right? As we know, 82% is a high priority for inflation, the economy, crime, gun policies. And look, if you look, the Democrats' priorities right now is January 6th, COVID, climate change, Ukraine, and abortion, right? Their highest priority, that where they're kind of aligned with the American people, is abortion. And we already went through the previous articles that they essentially cancel each other out. But Republicans have an advantage over inflation, because McConnell was right about the stimulus package that Biden passed, that it was going to overstimulate the economy. It was going to cause inflation. Everyone was like, oh, it's in conspiracy theories. Oh, inflation claims are out of touch with reality. These Washington Post, look it up. If you look it up, Washington Post, all of them were calling the Republicans crazy conspiracy theories, right? The only thing difference between a conspiracy theory and reality is time, honestly. So Republicans got inflation, economy, like Trump had the best economy out of the two, actually out of Obama. So every time we elect a Democrat, it seems we go into a recession a couple years after. You guys notice that? But that's probably just me. So Jeff Bezos reacting to Biden's tweets when he's calling for more gas stations to lower their prices, but it's supply and demand. There's not a lot of supply out there, so the demand's gonna be high, and that's gonna cause high prices, obviously. Biden's stuck in a rock and a hard place right now because one of his campaign promises for the climate change changers, which is very big for his young Democratic voters, is that there will be transitioning to clean energy. And he can transition to clean energy if he has to restore the Keystone Pipeline, which would allow us to domestically produce our own oil. So he's stuck here because he's limiting, I believe I read something that he's limiting oil leases across offshore drilling. So you're limiting offshore drilling where you need more oil production, but you want other countries to produce oil for you. Yeah, you're putting America in a bad spot. Biden looks like he's serving a globalist agenda. Honestly, I have no faith in the Democratic Party. I'm not voting Democrat this year. I'm going straight Republican. Honestly, if you think I'm wrong about this, hey, let me know why would you vote Democrat this year in 2022? Like honestly, 2022, I saw what the Democrats are already doing, and to me, they don't have the solutions on their side. They don't have the enthusiasm on their side. They just, I don't know. The Democrats just look like they just pander. That's all they know how to do. They just know how to pander for votes, cry for votes, disrespect their own country, but expect people like me to be like, you're gonna have the best country at heart, but you hate the country at like how I know you're in good faith that you're doing the best to make this country better when all your voters are like F the fourth. No, I honestly, Democrats are not looking great at all. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. If you found this video helpful, like, comment, subscribe. Any little engagement will help. I really appreciate you watching this video. See you in the next one. Peace.